Welcome to Radio Boomers Live, the show about all things human from a baby boomer's perspective. All things hot and all things not. News, reviews, interviews, chat, tech, and what's next. And here are your hosts, Reatha Gray from Betty White's Off Their Rockers and Easy's dad, Jim Zuley.
Good morning, Radio Boomers Live listeners around the world. Good morning to our EZWAY family and to our superstar host, Reatha Gray. Reatha.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
There she is. Reatha's always ready to rock and roll. Reatha, how is it that you always sound so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the morning? And usually it takes me 3 hours to sound like that. I don't know.
Oh, believe me, I sound much more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what time you rise and shine, or do you take one of those morning walks to get in shape? You know, walk like a mile or so. Some people do that.
No.
Not me. No. I'm
no.
Not, no. Okay, so
but
we wouldn't be good.
Stay in shape. You really do stay in shape. Me, not so much. But it is what it is. What can I say?
Well, you know, we used to hit all those events. You know, there's a lot of events that we used
true.
to go to. And
but we ate and drank a lot at those events too.
Of course, yeah. There's always the yin and the yang, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, time-wise, I guess it's hot topic, and we'll see what's going on out there in the world.
Ripped from the headlines, today's hot topic. Well, I want to start off on a happy note. I want to wish all the mothers a happy post-Mother's Day, and I hope everyone had time with their children or their grandchildren or those children that they consider to be their own, and had a wonderful day yesterday. And I didn't do anything. I just relaxed, but I did get to talk to my grandchildren yesterday, so that was always a blessing. And then we'll go on to the regular news. There are scandals in the news this week. The Kentucky Derby winner, Medina Spirit, fails a drug test, and the trainer got suspended. The owner's in trouble. It's just a mess. They declared Medina Spirit the winner, but that means that all the bets that were made, even if they disqualify it, you don't have to turn in the money. And I think it was not great odds, but relatively good odds on this horse. And I thought about it, and I was like, how can they keep the money? Well, how are they going to get it back? I know when I used to go to the track, they didn't know how much I bet on which horse. You just cashed in the ticket. So at any rate, that's a big scandal. They're going to work that out. They still haven't planned to run in the second race of the Triple Crown, and they're going to work it out later. But apparently this owner's been in trouble, like with 6 or 7 other horses already in the season with drug testing. So who knows? That's the first scandal. And then the other scandal is Bill and Melinda Gates. They are separating. They're worth like $130 billion. There was $1 billion transferred from Bill to Melinda on the day of the filing of the divorce. I mean, this is huge money changing hands between husbands and wives. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. And what came out is that a little bit of it might be because Bill was having, and they're not saying what kind of relationship, but Bill was having some relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Anything that comes out of that can't be good. Bill is saying that it was a business agreement, it was philanthropic, and that he realizes it he shouldn't have had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So I have a feeling we're going to have a series of scandals breaking behind that one. But at any rate, those are my hot topics for today. Jim, what's your hot topic?
Well, thank you, Reatha, for letting all my cool new stuff out of the bag. Let's see what I have left, Reatha. Okay, Medina Spirit. Yeah, they say that's one of the biggest ones that hit the horse world. That was a big one when the horse tested out. And we got a Belgian farmer caused a stir after accidentally redrawing the country's borders with France. Whoops. He moved a large rock on his farm, and it turned out to be a border point marking. So although Belgium is happy, they got a few more feet. France is not. They want the rock put back. The House plans to redistribute unordered coronavirus vaccine, telling states use it or lose it. Island Paradise Cialis has the highest vaccination rate, yet reports the biggest COVID surge. A lot of question marks there. See what's going on. Oh, now let me tell you about Bill and Melinda Gates. Well, anyway, yeah, that's irrelevantly, I better let Reatha handle that one. They had problems. So it can't be fixed, I guess that word's supposed to be, and she doesn't need spousal support. Bill and Melinda will continue to work together on their charitable foundation. Bill's net worth about $129. Others in his range, you got Bezos at $201 billion. These are billions. Elon Musk, $173, and Zuckerberg about $117 billion. American factories are in desperate need for workers. It's a $1 trillion problem. Demands for goods is skyrocketing as the U.S. economy reopens. People want a lot of stuff, but finding enough people to do the work has been a challenge. Okay, a lot of them are used to kind of sitting home getting those checks. Big meteor shower, the Eta Aquard, eons old, passed over Earth. Some mistaking it, the meteors as UFOs. Kind of look like a lot of UFO ships shooting across the sky. But nope, they were the old burning rocks, meteors going across the sky. The Grand Canyon is in need of a tune-up. The only water source is in need of major upgrade, and the canyon also requires a big renovating of trails and campgrounds. After Trump was banned from Twitter, Facebook and Twitter lost over $50 billion. Now the president is launching his own communications platform. Birth in the U.S. drops to levels not seen since 1979. Many held back on having more children due to the pandemic situation. And a Coinbase stock may be in a rut because crypto competition is heating up. 25-year-old in Milan, Africa, gave birth to 9. Small group of women that are in that category. An ancient child's grave is the oldest human burial found in Africa. Ben Affleck, he's on one of these apps for dating. Got hit with a rejection there. Can't win them all. So anyway, we have all that, and the Colonial Pipeline, this is a big one, is the largest refined pipeline in the U.S. It transports more than 100 million gallons per day. That's a lot, or roughly 45% of the fuel consumed in the East Coast. A cyber attack forced a closure. So rates still at an all-time record low, down there about 3%. So it's a good time to refinance or purchase a home, and you keep those rates low. So they're still low, guys. They're going up a little bit, but they're still low. There you go, Reatha. And with that, I've got to move on to a commercial, fall a little bit behind here, but a lot of news. Okay.
Life is hard for how to roll the easy way. Life is hard for how to roll the easy way. Life is hard for how to roll the easy way. Life is hard for how to roll the easy way.
I'm Aubrey O'Day, and I'm doing it the easy way.
I'm attorney Gloria Allred, and I'm doing Hollywood the easy way.
What up, y'all? It's your partner, Big Boy's Neighborhood, and guess what? I'm doing it the easy way. You're doing it the easy way. All of us are doing it the easy way.
Hi, I'm Larry Namer, co-founder of E! Entertainment Television, now president of Meitan Development Group, which works mainly in China. I really wanted to say a few words about Eric Zuley, or EZ, as a lot of people know him. I just want to say, Eric, keep up the dedication, the perseverance, and the creativity. You're helping to change the media world.
Jake Busey, I'm doing it the easy way. Hey, Oba Babatunde here, and I'm doing it the easy way.
Shifty from Crazy Town, and I'm doing it the easy way. Yo, this Ray J, and it's all about doing it the easy way.
Hey, this is Brady Connell. I'm the executive producer of Extreme Makeover Home Edition, and I decided to do Hollywood the easy way.
Hello, I'm Tatiana Ali, and I do Hollywood the easy way. Hi, I'm Sally Kirkland, and I'm doing it the easy way.
Hey, Hollywood It Guy.
Are you looking to accelerate your influence? EZWAY.com is a new site that allows you to promote yourself, business, brand, and your products as an influencer. You can share your ideas, receive comments, promote and brand yourself with the power of affiliation. Associate yourself and your brand with the power players of today to become leaders of tomorrow. Come and join the EZWAY Wall today. Sign up at wall.easywaybroadcasting.com or text EZWAY Wall to 55678.
Yes, indeed. And guys, the EZWAY Air Machine, check it out on the Wall of Fame. This is a game changer. It cleans the viruses and so on, but it also lessens COVID by 99%. And, you have to check it out. This is definitely a game changer. And we have a very cool guest with us today, Sarah Lee. She's a course creator at Build Your Brand, BYB, founder of CoachME Academy, owner, educated broker at How Money Works for You. She's a principal partner at Financial Services Branch, professional brand ambassador, Think and Grow Rich Legacy, founder and managing director at Team ILM, works at Slot and Company, co-founder, producer, Carrie Lee Media. How about that, huh? Now, let's go a little bit further. She's an event speaker at the Opal Group, former researcher at UCLA, former recipient at Presidential Recognition Award, and a former president at UCLA Art History Undergraduate Student Associations, a reporter, a TV producer at Kids 4. I can go on and on, but we're gonna bring her on before we're out of time here. Sarah Lee is a multi-talented young lady, and she is a young lady because she's on with old host here. Sarah, are you on with us?
I'm on. Thank you so much.
Well, some people might say, well, I'm not really old. I'm 45 or I'm 55. Well, you're still young on this show. So anyway, Sarah, I want to introduce you to Reatha Gray from Betty White's After Rockers. Reatha, this is Sarah Lee.
Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. Nice to meet you.
Well, Sarah, I guess I got a small way through your bio, and everybody could tell it's pretty impressive, UCLA and the shows and so on and so forth. I suppose the first question is what does Sarah do in her spare time?
What spare time?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah. Well, I tell you,
I teach financial literacy, and I do interviews for EZWAY.
Well,
that's your spare time.
Yeah, that's in my spare time.
Some people might relate the term or the name Sarah Lee with another situation, but I could say that Sarah Lee definitely has the recipe for financial success, and
that's right.
you've changed a lot of lives. So let's kind of start off here, and I know Reatha's going to have some questions because she's a landlord and finance type person. What would you say got you on this path, Sarah? I mean, you've been helping so many people, and you're into the finances and getting them on track. And I guess you could say a lot of people are not on track in this day and age, right, financially?
Absolutely. Financially, most people, unfortunately, are not on track. In fact, 3 out of 4 people in America think that the U.S. faces a retirement crisis because they're not prepared.
Yeah. Well, we've gone through the statistic, and I just want to share with the audience. I had a nice talk with Sarah the other day. The only thing she didn't put in her bio is that she's a nice person, but you don't usually put that on your bio. I'm a nice person, but you are. You have. We could have talked for a long time, but then I know she's busy, and so I had to say, okay, let's get going. But
we'll do a longer interview a different day. But yes, the retirement is a big issue. Financial literacy is a big issue, and business literacy is a big issue. So all of those things complicate things when we have 5 billion people on the planet that are considered to be financially illiterate. So it's not just the United States. It's a big problem everywhere in the world.
Everywhere. And I've shared this.
Is it ever too late to gain financial literacy?
I don't think so. I think that when you decide to do it, the information is available to you. And sometimes you have to seek out a professional or someone who's a financial educator, which is what I do, which is why Jim wanted to have me on the show, right? Because he wants to let people know there is a way to start helping yourself.
And, you know, Reatha's heard this before. The average, one of the average numbers is 44,000. That's what some people have made. And they say you're supposed to retire with 11 times that amount in the bank, which is about $1 million. But you and I were talking about this, and I've gone over with Reatha. The actual facts don't come out to the average person as $1 million. If you take percentages, a lot of people have several hundred thousand, but it's a small percent. When you get in a bigger percent, like 30 and 40, you have people that only have like 50,000. And then when you get in another 30, 40%, there's people that barely have 1,000. How did we come to that? Did we not have enough financial planners 30, 40 years ago?
It's actually an interesting issue because how I see this is in the 80s, which you were, I'm thinking adults in the 80s, right? I mean, baby boomers as a whole were adults in the 80s.
We were already getting old.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, but I'm saying most people who were in that time frame, interest rates back then were about 18%. So if you were able to save, like, say, $300,000 over your life investing and saving, and you had that money in the bank, and let's say you were even getting 15%, you were able to get $45,000 in interest, never touch the principal, and also use Social Security. And in that case, you didn't know that you needed to be financially literate. And so, unfortunately, what happened, in my opinion, is that people didn't then learn the material, and then they didn't teach their children. So I think it is a schooling issue. Unfortunately, schools don't teach this, and a lot of people don't know themselves. So how can you teach something you don't know?
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of things have changed, not only interest rates. At my union, who said that they would prepare for me in old age, and I won't mention the name Screen Actors Go, but they are actually not counting some of the income from the seniors from our residuals to pump up our retirement. So even though we're retired but we're still working, we're not getting that money counting towards our pension and towards our health care. And so a lot of things have changed. So like you said, we didn't know we needed to prepare.
No.
So what would you advise us to do now, since interest rates are like 2% and our pension is not what we expect it to be? What can we do now?
Right. Well, like you said, 67% of people don't think that they're going to be able to live off Social Security or a pension from an employer, although many people believe that they could and wanted that. And so to your point, what can people do now? The easiest thing I can tell you, because we have laws about actually giving financial advice on the radio, so we have limits to what we can do. But what I would say is reach out to a financial professional or reach out to myself, and let's sit down one-on-one and see what you have and what can be done. There are some programs that people are not aware of that would give them security and also give them a return. But I can't get into that on the radio, unfortunately, but I can do it one-on-one.
But that was great advice. We need to reach out. No one tells us even to reach out to anyone, so thank you for that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You got to take the time.
Yeah.
You know, lack of knowledge is very costly, and the big term with people our age is you look down and you go, if only. Sarah, where were you when Reatha and I needed you in about 1970?
I probably wasn't born yet.
That's what we. So Sarah, you're there. You're in the office. People come in. What are you seeing now? That what's the concern? Age? Are you seeing more of? millennials, or do you see some people our age coming in?
It's actually interesting. So, yeah, it's a mixed bag. So people around the age of 50, 45 or 50, start to take retirement much more seriously, generally speaking. So that's about the time when people who haven't planned put a plan together, oftentimes. At least that's what I see. So before that, they didn't take it seriously because they think, oh, that's far away, that's somebody else, that kind of thing. There actually was a psychological study done on why people don't plan for retirement, and one of the things they said is that we see our future self as a different person. And so we think, I'm going to take care of my needs now because I'm here now, and we'll let that guy or that lady take care of their needs in the future.
That's interesting. Oh, never thought of that.
Isn't that
you ever
interesting?
Think of that, yeah, that's like, wow, I didn't catch that one. But, well, people change, but you still, change or not, you're still going to need something. And what would you say a figure is? I mean, I know it's hard to say, but Sarah, you and I were talking the other day, and some of these statistics are like, are you kidding? Some people actually not only don't have $1,000, they don't have a couple bucks to take care of a car situation if there's a breakdown.
Right. The average American doesn't have $400 to their name. That's one of the things that we learned during COVID is that people live so much paycheck to paycheck or live off credit that a lot of Americans didn't even have $400. Now, that being said, most people, when I say most people, I'd say 78% or so are concerned about outliving their assets, and that's a valid concern considering the average Social Security check is about $1,400.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking that you are going to rely on that and you're just going to save a small amount of money, that is not going to fix it for most people, especially in California or New York or some of the more expensive states. So that's not the thing. But unfortunately, what I sometimes teach people is how to make more money even in their older age, because I say, is there something you can do that's a hobby but that you can make some money and you don't feel like you're working and you still can control your schedule? You know what I mean? Because that sometimes is the answer, not the answer you want to hear, but it is sometimes the answer for people.
Well, people, they have certain plans set at a certain age. And believe me, there's so many things, Reatha, right, that you don't have on the list when you're planning at maybe 30 or 40 that you just don't think of so many of the things that could happen, when you're 70.
Absolutely. And not only that, you want to hear something even crazier? 2 out of 3 workers have student loan debt when they're in their 60s. When they're getting ready to retire, their student loan debt hasn't been paid off yet.
Wow.
I've heard that recently. Most of us that were baby boomers had much lower loans, but these kids coming up today, my God, like you said, after they're retiring and they still haven't paid off their student loans.
Yes, or their kids' student loans, which is,
exactly.
It's a super serious issue.
Yeah, I get calls, these pesky calls that come in. We can help with your student loan. I said, well, I graduated almost 48 years ago. I don't need help with that. And yet, look at what you're talking about now. So, Sarah, we have so much stuff. We have just a list of things to go over with you, and we only have so much time. So let's, just real quick, tell us about your show on the EZWAY Network.
Absolutely. So my show is the Sarah Lee Show, a.k.a. Living Beautifully with Sarah Lee, and it's basically segments on little bits like this, little bits of advice, whether it's budgeting, financial, cooking, health, meditation, just how to live a happy and successful life. It's that education that I want to get out to people that I think is missing from the public at this point. So I'm trying to do my part.
So what could we use, Sarah? We were talking about this, a recipe for success. This is, for your little term, a recipe for success, or a recipe for a bankroll instead of a sweet roll. What would you? We got to work on that, right?
Well, that's pretty good. That's a good one. But yes, Financial Cake with Sarah Lee. The cake stands for competency, action, knowledge, and expertise. But that's the thing, is that we want to have a plan. The first thing we want to do is figure out what our inflows are and what our outflows are. And then we want to have a plan that's a written plan that we can kind of work and then hold each other accountable, meaning get an accountability partner, get a coach, get a financial coach, an advisor that actually will be in relationship with you. That would be my primary first advice. It's relatively straightforward. But to your point, that is part of the recipe, is understanding that the habit of saving is more important than how much you save. And that's the other thing that throws people off.
Yep.
Right? Is that people think,
Make
well,
it a habit.
I don't have a lot, so I won't save it all. That's not the right idea, because honestly, once you see that money grow from no effort of your own, it starts to become kind of addictive. And you start to think like, wow, I might be able to do this. If you never get started, you'll never have that experience.
I would say a money mindset.
Is that part of the CoachME Academy?
Yes, it's part of what I teach. I teach budgeting and these kind of the things that lead up to, right? The things that lead up to financial literacy, I teach them as well. So CoachME Academy teaches business and also does event planning. And also that's our producing is through CoachME Media and CoachME Academy. But same thing is that if you're teaching this information, not you personally, but let's say I teach you and you teach 3 people. That's a lot better than none of us knowing the information and hoping it works out, which is what most people do, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely true. See, this is what I'm talking about, guys. This is good advice, you know, and it's not like, oh, yeah, I've heard that before. No, you have to listen to this, what Sarah's saying, but you have to adhere to it. And believe me, you're going to wake up one day and go, geez, I'm glad I started this plan, you know, whenever it was you started. And for me, Sarah, the mindset is you can think of, all right, I'm going to go out and get this and get that, get a lot of stuff you don't need, the credit card goes up. Or you could change that mindset to where, you know what, I'm going to really get into paying these cards down and watching that account go up, you know. And the time, there's one thing we know, time goes fast. Holy smokes. And it could change. In a year or two, all of a sudden you're going to say, hey, Reatha and I were talking about this on one of the shows. We add a little bit extra to some of the monthly bills, like water bill, gas bill. Instead of paying your $100 bill, you pay a little over, and whether it's a quarter, 50%, and you do that for a year, and all of a sudden you're 6 months ahead on that. Well, you can do that in savings and everything else. But boy, we can go on and on with. I got a list of questions here, but time is going so fast. We only have so much time. And we want to thank you for coming on. And boy,
and we want to know how to get in touch with you. How do we get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So a couple ways to get in touch with me. You can find me. I know this is a little probably young for your audience, but you can find me on Instagram at CoachME Academy. You can find me on
Instagram.
Facebook.
How do you spell that?
Exactly. You can find me on Facebook at CoachME Sarah Lee. If you put that in, you should be able to find me, Sarah Lee MBA. And that being said, you can also find me on my website, which is Sarah Lee MBA, like Mary Boy Apple, .net. So those are 3 simple ways. You can also you could send the word CoachME, like it's 2 words, CoachME, to 33777. So all of those are good ways to
I believe you're on the Wall of Fame, aren't you?
I should be also on the Wall of Fame, yes. And if I'm not, I will be. I'll have my profile up and fixed soon.
And when did your program start on the EZWAY Broadcasting Network?
We were trying to launch it for May 15th. We're a little bit close to that date right now. So, but we're working on it. We're producing segments.
It's coming together. It takes time. It's coming together.
Yes.
And you're kind of a tech person, so you got to talk to Reatha if you need help. She's a tech person. She knows that stuff. But thank you, Sarah, for coming on.
I appreciate both of you, and I look forward to
such a gifted person in this field. Gifted person, and you're a nice person. So if you want to just talk to somebody in chat, call Sarah because she's fun to talk to.
Absolutely. I really appreciate both of you. And I'm glad to be part of the EZWAY family.
Thank you.
Well, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So, Reatha, with that, it's moving into commercial, and then we have Carmelita's Corner, and that's always interesting.
Hey guys, Diamond Angel here. I'm here to tell you why you should download the Eric Zuley app for free. Get the EZWAY experience on the go. Events, shows, fan wall, interviews, coverage, all our blogs, social media. Promote your music to the greats. Get notifications and updates for free. And you get to join EZWAY on all of its fun adventures. EZWAY has over 250,000 followers, 3 verified accounts, and been endorsed by some of the largest producers, celebrities, and public figures. Visit your Apple or Android store today and download the Eric Zuley app for free.
Life is hard for how to roll the easy way. Life is hard for how to roll the easy way. Life is hard for how to roll the easy way.
Finally, something to look forward to on Monday morning. I'm Reatha Gray from Betty White's Off Their Rockers, and I've teamed up with Easy's dad, Jim Zuley, to rock your world on Baby Boomers Live. That's right, every Monday morning at 10 a.m., we will be discussing all things human from a baby boomer's perspective. So, tune in to EZWayBroadcasting.com on blogtalkradio.com to see what Jim and I are up to. Your Mondays will never be the same.
You are about to experience Carmelita's Corner. Carmelita's song Rosebud made it to the top 40s with the godfather of soul, James Brown. She's the founder of the Rose Breast Cancer Society. Now here's your host, Carmelita Pittman.
Well, hello there, Radio Land. Here we are again. I hope you're feeling grand. I am. I've got an amazing guest on this morning. She's a little bit on the unusual side because she has an unusual story to tell. I'm going to let her tell it. But she is one of the members of the late and great Bonnie Hilton Sweeney's posse. We both were, and I'm speaking of the pre-Grammy Gala production team. We had a black tie major event, and it attracted people nationwide, including some of household names like Patti LaBelle and you name them. They were all looking forward to attending that big black tie gala. Patti LaBelle called one time and said, "Where is the party?" Well, anyway, Eve Madison was one of those people in the later days when Bonnie was working the party from Sacramento, who helped produce that party. And it occurred for 23 years while Bonnie Hilton Sweeney was with us, and then she graduated to be in a better world. And we still have many wonderful memories to share. And Eve is one of the people who I inherited because of my friendship with Bonnie. When my husband and I went to Sacramento to visit Bonnie, we met Eve, who was a very close friend of Bonnie's. And I know she loved Bonnie very much, as we all did and still do. And on that note, I'm going to bring Eve Madison on board. Welcome, Eve.
Hey, Carmelita, how are you?
I'm doing well, and as you said when I spoke to you this morning, you said you were blessed, and I am too. And so, anyway, we're going to have a good time here, and I want to have you talk about how you met Bonnie Hilton Sweeney.
Oh, I was doing with Lauren Reed, and he introduced me to Bonnie Hilton Sweeney. So that was a blessing. It really, truly was, because Lauren and I were doing shows in Sacramento. So he said, "I want you to meet a friend of mine." I said, "Okay." And he introduced me to her. And so happened I lived right around the corner from her and didn't even know.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. You know, Bonnie used to tell me that people used to wonder who she was because they would see all these limousines pulling up in front of her house. And you know what was funny is that she lived on the street named Carmelita.
Yes, she did.
And people used to tease her about that because of our friendship, because Bonnie was like a sister from another mother. I just loved Bonnie Hilton Sweeney. Mm-hmm. And I know she must be looking down on you and I now because she put us together. And I remember the time when Jerry and I went to visit her, and she was wanting to see her sister Barbara, who was further up north, you know, in the Bay Area. And at that time, she was having a challenge with her eyesight, you know, because of, you know, that situation that she was going through. But she knew every turn. I mean, you know, even without looking, she knew exactly how to direct us to her sister's house, Barbara, and we got there safely.
Yeah, and I would always come and I would go to her house when her eyes were messing her up, and I would help her with that programming. And I remember one time we did over 2,000 envelopes plus another 2,000 just to get the people there. And we were doing the limousines to go to their house and everything. So I remember that. And then we would go to L.A. and put the programmings on. It was great. It was just gorgeous.
Yes, it was quite an achievement. And I remember Vonnie said that was the gift that she received from God to produce that event. I mean, that, you know, was a God-given event because it blessed so many people. And she used to always have a saying that it was for the sung and the unsung heroes, because there were so many people aspiring to get into the music industry, and she gave them a platform to leverage them forward. And a lot of household names came out of that party, like L.A. Reid and Babyface and so many others. And then we had people who actually performed on the show, like the great and late Godfather of Soul, James Brown himself. And that's one of the ways I actually got involved with him, through Vonnie, because I remember being at her house one time and he called. And, you know, they used to always address each other as Mr. or Miss. It was always Ms. Sweeney or Mr. Brown. And so when I picked up the phone, he knew right away it wasn't Vonnie. So he said, well, where is Ms. Sweeney? You know, so, I got her on the phone. But it was just really a wonderful time, you know, and it's such a beautiful event. And I did have the privilege of being the chair and the main sponsor. 1998, we had one of our biggest parties at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, and as you probably know, that was the first place where Hollywood had its major event. You know, so we're talking about back in the golden era, that was the place. Yeah, the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. And I met the late honorary mayor of Hollywood, Johnny Grant, there. He used to live there and so on. There's just so many wonderful memories that the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel had produced. Yeah. So now tell us about this amazing story that you told me. I actually typed it as you dictated it to me, and I'm going to read a little bit of it so our readers can get a wind of this here. The Odyssey begins with a man named George Washington, born a slave around 1800. His mother was a Nubian queen from Ethiopia. She was shipped over to America in the 1700s to the George Washington plantation. George Washington, I guess you could say Jr., was a mulatto. His father, and you tell him who his father was.
George Washington.
Now, that is amazing. We're talking about the first president of the United States. Now, many people know that he was a slaveholder. And, you know, a lot of people probably now know the story about Thomas Jefferson, who was also a slaveholder, who had a relationship with one of his slaves, and she produced 6 children for him. And, you know, people know that during those times that there was a lot of miscegenation, which basically means blending of the races. So anybody who's been in America for any length of time, if they've had family here for 200 years or more, most likely has European blood in them and possibly African blood in them. And many people are not aware, but we all have the DNA of the original Eves from Africa. All of us, regardless of how we look, we all carry the DNA of the African woman. And so actually, if you want to look at it, I would like to have people realize that we all are brothers and sisters. We all come from the same source. We all are related. We're not separate. People want to believe we're separate, but we're not. We all come from the same source. So tell us a little bit more about this relationship with George Washington. George Washington Jr. was the person who drove his master, George Washington. I imagine it must have been in a horse and buggy. But George Washington Jr. was not harassed because he appeared to be a white man, and obviously he took after the genes of his father, George Washington.
George Washington, the Nubian Queen, came to him in 1700, and we didn't have slavery then. And he took her on, and he fathered little George Jr., who went all over everywhere George Washington went. George Jr. went, and they thought he was white, but he was black. I mean, they thought he was,
And you know that this system in our country is very confusing. You know, they call people who look white black. It's always been confusing to me. But he did have the African ancestry, and obviously he took after the appearance of his white father. Yeah. So anyway, I think it would have been great if we had had the story on during Black History Month, but this one of the reasons why we're talking now is because you are getting ready to have a birthday in 3 days. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I was hoping I could have a surprise for you. I don't know if he's going to call in or not, but maybe he might, and if he doesn't, maybe I should tell you what the surprise was going to be. Mika Gerald is a good friend of yours, and he knows that you're going to be on the show today. And we had a wonderful time when we all attended the celebration of life for the late and great Reverend Della Reese.
Yeah.
And that was a wonderful celebration of her life, just amazing. The choir that was there and everything, they just went on, and the music was just lifted up the ceiling. It was just so full and amazing. But anyway, you and I and Mika got together, and we went over to the restaurant there in Burbank, which was nearby. And I will always cherish that time that the three of us spent together reminiscing and connecting, and hope that he's listening. Now, hi, Mika, if you're out there listening, we were hoping you'd call in to surprise Eve. But anyway, we've only got maybe a minute left. So you want to say hello to Mika over the phone?
Hi, Mika.
You guys have a great history studying. What was the name of the the academy, the woman who was in charge, because I know he has a great admiration for her, who taught you acting?
Oh, Mary Booker. Oh, my God, yes.
Yes, Mary, I'm looking
Booker,
at my notes now. Yeah, Mary L.
Mm-hmm.
Booker. She was the founder and
Mary.
director. Yes. But you know what? Time goes by when you're having a good time, Eve, and I want to thank your families for all the help that they gave us in getting your bio and your photograph and all of that together for us. And so I'm going to be one of the first to wish you a happy birthday over the air on the Carmelita's Corner segment of Radio Boomers Live. All the way live, folks.
I did mean to mention that I was from that family of George Washington.
Yes, you are the descendant of George Washington, our first president. And on that note, let's say goodbye, Eve. We're going to have to get on our horses and ride off into the sunset. It's time for us to go. Bye-bye.
All right, Carmelita. I love you.
I love you too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Smartphone, cell phone, PC, Mac, tablet, iPad. That's right. It's tech time.
Well, I'm going to have to bring it up again. I don't want to, but I have to. Scams. There are all kinds of internet scams going on. Again, one of my close, educated, intelligent female friends was scammed. And not only was she scammed, she got scammed for her credit card number and got scammed through her bank account. So it went deeper than just the scam. So I'm going to just go over a couple of types of scams that are out there now. First of all, ladies, that guy that says, "Hey, cutie," on Facebook, or "How you doing, darling," on Instagram is not your friend. No one falls in love with a picture, okay? We grew up in a time where fairy tales could come true. Meghan Markle married a prince, but in the real world, those guys that are coming on to you on these social apps, and I'm not talking about the dating apps. The ones going through the dating apps are pretty legitimate because they have to put too much information on the dating app. But the ones that are coming to you from social apps, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they're out for your money. If you don't know them, they will sweet talk you. I did a social experiment. I don't think I've ever told this on the air, where I actually purposely answered one which I could tell was kind of a sleazy guy. He didn't have more than like 2 or 3 followers on his Facebook page. I answered him. We got into conversation. This went on for 6 months. And I mean, we talked like every day for 6 months on the Facebook, on the messaging things. And it took about 6 months. I won't go into the details, but then he started asking me for money. It started off with something like $20,000. It was an investment. I would double, triple my money. Said, I don't have $20,000. Now, keeping in mind, I, from the beginning, was doing this as an experiment. And, I mean, he had quite a story going on. Like I said, I'm not going to go into it. Then it dropped down to $10,000. Then it dropped down to $1,000. It finally came down to he sent me 2 postal money orders for $999, and he wanted me to cash and send him back cash. Needless to say, I took the postal money to the post office. I had him send it to a P.O. box and never give out any of your personal information to anyone that you don't know over the internet. And I asked the post office official, is this a real money order? And she said, no. I said, can I have it back? She said, no. He had sent me what was a very poorly counterfeited postal money order. well, it's not illegal for people to ask you for money over the internet, but it is illegal for them to send forged postal money orders. And that was what I was waiting for him to do something illegal so I could report him. So I reported him to Facebook. You can't talk to anybody there, but send the emails. If it looks phony, smells phony, send Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whoever. Send them the information. Tell me you think that this is a scam. I had sent it to Facebook, and we were talking actually over Messenger, and they just whoosh, all of it was gone. His Facebook page, his Messenger, all of it was gone in the middle of a conversation because what he did was illegal. Ladies, I know women who have given thousands of dollars to men they do not know, profess love for them. It's a scam. He doesn't want to marry you. He's not going to send for you. Like I said, I'm not talking about on the dating apps. They're more legit. But definitely on the other ones. They want to pick you up. That's a scam. If anybody wants you to pay them with a gift card, it is a scam. No legitimate business will ask you to go to Target or your neighborhood supermarket and buy a gift card and put money on it. My dear friend who recently got scammed, not only, and I told you about another lady a couple of months ago, went and got the gift card. My dear friend went and got the gift card, sent him the gift card. She bought the gift card with her credit card. Some kind of way they got a hold of her credit card, and they pulled a bunch of money out of her account. These scams go on every day. They wouldn't keep doing them if it didn't work. And the last one I want to tell you about is the stimulus check. If you get a text message, if you get an email, if you get anything that talks about you having to pay to receive money, I don't care if it's a stimulus check, I don't care if it's a charitable foundation and they have so much money that they want to give it to good people, and you know you're a good person. So, of course, this is real. They want to give you $10,000. So you'd be glad to send them that $200 that it would cost just to send you the $10,000. It is a scam. It is a scam, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not just women. They do it to men, too. I'm begging you, don't send anybody you have not personally called, you know is a real company, even buying things over the internet. Be careful. You think you can't get scammed? Order stuff. They will take your credit card. They will run it up. They will do all kinds of things. So I'm just bringing this up again because a lot of people are in financial trouble right now because of the pandemic, and they're desperate for money, and when it looks so good and so tempting, you want it to be real, but it's not. Be careful and report them. If you report them, I report them, Susie Sue and Curly Q and everybody reports these people, we can put them out of business. And a lot of them are overseas, so you will never see that money again. Never. So I'm just giving you a warning, especially with these stimulus checks. You'll get offers saying, we'll get it for you faster, we'll get you more than what they said, whatever. No one is going to contact you through Facebook about a stimulus check except a scammer. That is my tech time for today. I'm so hurt by people losing their money, but that's my tech time for today. Jim, what is your
baby
Jim
boomers,
for today?
it's time for Jim from Jim.
Read good tips, and there's a couple I'll throw in there real quick before I go in my report. You have these texts. You get a lot of texts that sound really interesting. Hey, make a little extra money, maybe about $1,500 a week extra. All you got to do is be a shopping detective, or maybe put a sticker on your car. Yeah, drive around with our sticker, and we'll give you $1,500 a week or whatever it is. And it sounds fun, but you got to research it because there's usually twists there. Like one of them is, okay, they will come out and for $2,500, you have to pay for that. They'll put all these stickers on there and it's whatever. Just do your research on whether, like Reatha says, if it sounds too good to be true, et cetera, et cetera. So who wants to wake up? I want to see a show of hands. Who wants to wake up at 85 years old in the morning and knowing you have to go to work because things didn't work out? Well, for those young people out there, this is some food for thought. I'm going to give you, I saw an interesting little article here on consumercredit.com, 10 signs you're not ready to retire. I try to find some interesting stuff for you. And so, like I said, for the young, this is food for thought. For those closing in on retirement, this is your decision. Ready or not, here I come. That's the way it is. And it's nice knowing that we can finally have that day after all this work. And how do you like to wake up and know, hey, you can go golfing, you could just hang around, watch TV, do what you want. Well, you got to plan that carefully because you can wind up not living long if you sit around, if you're ready. So you have to be ready. So I'm going to give you some of these 10 signs. I don't know if we're going to make it all 10, but we'll see what's out there. So if any of this sounds familiar, you know, like you hear about people retiring and, yeah, then, boy, I'm looking forward to that. Well, you got to rethink these plans and go, listen here, because some of this stuff is interesting. Here's number one, as far as rethinking. You haven't outlined a financial plan. Sarah Lee was talking about that. A successful retirement requires a well-thought-out plan, but through retirement planning is something many people haven't done. Okay, you have to talk to a financial professional because they can open up a door. Because one of the things we talked about is when you're younger, there's many, many things and, you know, bills and financial situations that come up when you're older you don't think of when you're younger. You don't think of, hey, you're going to be spending money on remodeling, or your kids are a lot of medical situations. You don't plan on a lot of that. So number two is you're struggling now. If you're struggling now, in one survey, almost a quarter of boomers admitted they have difficulty paying their rent or mortgage within the last 12 months. But all too often, people who are already struggling are determined to retire. Okay? They feel like they can find a way to get by. Well, if you're going to try to find a way of getting by when you're 65 or 70, you're still in pretty good shape. It's going to be more difficult when you're 75 or 80 to find that way to make extra money. All right, here's number three. You still have a lot of debt. Well, that's not a good idea. Definitely want to get rid of that stuff and that big car payment before you retire. Many people don't even know how much they owe. All they know is their bills are at a comfortable level, and they assume they can continue to pay them even once they stop working. But you need to take some time to thoroughly look at and understand how much money you owe overall so you can become debt-free in retirement. Yeah, you definitely don't want to step into retirement and have this long list of bills. Like I said, when you make a page, the left column is what's coming in, the right column is what's going out. And that left column should be hopefully 30 to 50% more, and that's conservative, than the right column. You know, you don't want a right column of having $5,000 a month and your left column is $4,600, because what a lot of people don't do when they put it in their budget, they put in gas, electric, phone, water, mortgage, car payment. They don't put in gasoline for your car and food and all these expenses that come up. You know, a lot of people like myself don't budget that in, and that could be hundreds of dollars. All right, number four, you need to work but haven't found a part-time job. According to the Federal Reserve, about 12% of people plan to retire and then find a different part-time job, while roughly 3% plan to find a full-time job after retiring. But if you haven't lined up another job, you might want to stick with your current employer a little bit longer. Okay, don't assume that because of your years of experience and stellar references, companies will jump at the opportunity to bring you on board. Number five, you haven't reassessed your portfolio. Your portfolio will become a crucial part of your financial well-being when you're retired. And reassessing is an important part of retirement planning. Number six, you haven't decided what you'll do with your time. That's a big one because you definitely don't want to retire and sit around. You're not going to last too long. Want to keep active, want to keep something going. If your only friends are people you work with, or your friends are still working elsewhere, you need to decide what you're going to do with your time. And that's one of the things that came up. Even with people that have money, a lot of their friends are not retired, and they're working on money. Now they have this money. This is if you plan too much. So I guess there's something you got to think about, too. You have to find a group of friends that have enough money to travel to Europe or whatever. They say lonely retirees are common, and that sometimes leads to depression. It's important to develop social networks before taking the plunge. All right, number 7, work is still important to you. If you currently, if you're currently aiming for promotions and raises, you shouldn't rush into retirement. Stay in your field as long as you feel motivated and driven to achieve. So you may not want to retire. You know, things are going good, but my input on that is, yeah, but that can go on for a long time, and then you wind up like a couple I know, and they lived next door to my parents. They saved up a lot of money. They had over a couple $1 million, and they moved down to Florida, planning on traveling all over the world, bought a nice house in Florida, and he wound up, I mean, they're getting older. They worked so long that he had a stroke, and then they couldn't go anywhere. So you have that happy medium. You can retire, but you don't want to keep working and saving until you can't do anything with your money. You can't travel because you're in ill health. You haven't thought through about your retirement identity. Right now, you might be a business owner. You might have a lot of authority at your current job, but you will, who you will be, who will you be when you retire? And you don't know what level it's going to be at. You're caring for children or elderly people. A lot of people who want to retire are either responsible for elderly parents or they're still caring for a child. Maybe then you're not quite ready to jump in retirement. And number 10, you're not on the same page with your spouse. Retirement is a major life change, and it's a household decision. So you got to talk it over with your spouse, see if you're ready to retire. And if you're retired and your spouse is not, I don't know, that's going to go. So there's a couple tips for you on all the retirement situations. And, they talk about Social Security. Should you take it earlier or later? Well, to me, it's a 50-50 because if you take it earlier, you'll have your retirement money a little bit earlier and you have a little bit more time to enjoy life. I mean, what are you waiting for? And on the other hand, if you wait a little bit longer, you'll get more money. So then again, I say, well, there's a decision there that's tough to make. I've always said take the middle road. Maybe do a happy medium there. Well, go a few more years and take that retirement. You get a little bit more, but if you wait till you get peak amount, what kind of shape are you going to be in to go do all this cool stuff? You'd be shuffling along at the golf course when you can hardly swing the club. So that's it, Reatha. It's time to call it a wrap with Radio Boomers Live. And until next week, keep track of the EZWAY Wall of Fame. And I'll tell you, the influence effect has been hitting a home run, Eric's book. And we want to keep you guys informed with Reatha's Tech Time and all Carmelita's interesting guests. And we want to thank Sarah Lee for being on with us. And that's the kind of people you have to talk about, right, Reatha? If you want some financial planning and getting things in order.
We need that advice. She was right on the nose talking about they didn't teach us this stuff because they didn't know there was a need. There's a need now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And if you listen and take some of these tips to heart, it's a lot more comfortable when you wake up and the bills are paid and there's some money in the bank and you've done some planning and things come up, well, you're ready for it. Just like they say, have some stuff at home. It's good to have stuff at home, like the extra water and the food packs and stuff like that. It's nice to have a little bit extra so there's not panic. Same with money. So,
absolutely.
Any closing words of wisdom from Reatha?
No, just stay safe. Just stay safe. And one quick word of advice. Just because you're fully vaccinated does not mean you need to flaunt it in the face of COVID. COVID can still get you if you're fully vaccinated. It may be milder, it may be less, or you may have a compromised immune system that you don't even know about. So be safe. Wear your mask. I'm not a big masker. I'm really not a big masker. But wear your mask when you're in crowds, when you're around people, and stay safe.
Stay safe. And if you're in your house or if you have a business or go to a business and see that sticker on there with this, on the EZWAY Wall of Fame, the air situation, the clean air situation that we have, it's a game changer. And EZWAY Air machine, and that's something that's really
I'm gonna
important.
Have to check that out.
Oh yeah, the video is amazing. It's amazing. So with that, Reatha, I tell you, the time goes so fast, and time to move on till next Monday morning at 10 o'clock with Reatha and I. And until then, keep moving, keep the faith. Radio Boomers Live is signing out.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening to Radio Boomers Live with your hosts, Reatha Gray, Star Betty White's Off Their Rockers, and EZ's dad, Jim Zuley. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Radio Boomers Live. Radio Boomers Live is brought to you by the EZWAY Broadcasting Network. That's the letter E, the letter Z, Broadcasting Network.